can all agree that Mulan risks death so that her father doesn't have to be sacrificed on the altar of toxic tradition, but what we need to discuss is how she does it. Because Mulan doesn't just step into her father's armor, she embodies both true masculinity and true femininity at once. And that's exactly what makes her powerful, so let's break this down. When her father is conscripted, her first instinct isn't rebellion, it's relational. She feels, she tries to reason, she speaks up, which by the way is immediately framed as dishonor, because how dare a woman speak to a man with authority? And when that fails, she doesn't spiral. She watches, she observes, she tracks him, she stays connected. Then at dinner, we see her rage, but it's not aimless. Her father is choosing death and then turns around and tells her to know her place. And that moment right there, that's the clash of old and new. The tradition saying die with honor, and the daughter saying why die at all when there's another way. And then the rain, one of the most powerful visual metaphors in the film. Mulan sits with her pain quite literally. She feels the full grief, the fear, the heartbreak, but then she does something extraordinary. She transforms that emotional chaos into clarity. She uses her inside energy to then use her outside energy to translate into action what she's feeling. Does it make sense? She calculates, she strategizes, makes a decision that's not just brave but oddly reasonable, because again, I will never get tired of saying it. It makes more sense for her to go and maybe survive than to let her father die for an idea. Especially after he literally says he's willing to die for what's right. Well, guess what? That's a universal feeling, not specific to men or masculinity. Therefore, so does she. Because Mulan takes her place in the world as suggested, but not in the way her father meant. She realizes her place is not at the matchmaker's table. It's not in the shadows of the man. It's not in silence. Her place is where love takes action, where feeling becomes doing. That's what love is after all, isn't it? In the fusion between masculine and feminine, between your inside energy and outside energy. Because the truth is that love isn't passive. It starts inside, yes, but it doesn't stay there, or at least it shouldn't. It has to be expressed and moved outward. It has to take form. It has to make decisions. Even self-love works this way, because you might feel love inside, but to actualize it, you still have to act. Sleep well, say no, eat what nourishes you, go to therapy, take a damn bubble bath. And you will find that love isn't the only energy that requires that union of yourself. We love talking about balance like it's a yoga pose, but real balance is messy and extremely inconvenient. It requires for you to allow two truths to live in the same body. It's letting your softness speak with strength. It's letting your rage build something instead of burning it down. And we think love is just a feeling, but it's more like a movement, a current, and it demands to be expressed by your whole self. The part that feels and the part that acts, the one that sits in the dark with the grief and the one that opens the window to let the light in again. And to do that, it needs your whole self. You see, it's not just love that requires this union of outside and inside energy. It's talking, it's writing, it's hugging someone you know when they're breaking, it's standing up for yourself, it's cooking for your family and choosing a new thought when your old ones want to drag you back. All of it require inner balance and coordination. All of it requires for inside and outside energies to develop their own skills and tricks so they can become the best of partners. Not in another human, but in the same human, okay? Even silence has a structure. Even healing needs discipline. Even softness takes courage. And I know that you've been told to pick a side, you know, to be the strong one, to the logical one, but the wholeness doesn't come from rules, okay? It comes from what you need, or more accurately, what the moment needs from you. And that's how you'll actually find that there's nothing you can do in this world that doesn't require this union of inside and outside energies within yourself. And nothing is a bigger proof than the relationship between Cri-Kee and Mushu. So, what if Mushu and Cri-Kee are more than sidekicks? What if they're not just comic relief or even just support for Mulan's journey? What if they're actually the visual embodiment of the two core energies we all carry inside of us? These inside and outside energies? Because Mushu seems to perfectly represent the outer energy, the loud energy. And you see he lacks that inner balance, because often he's the embodiment of let's get this done even if I have no idea what I'm doing type of energy. He's impulsive, he's chaotic, he lies, he cheats, he craves validation, because let's be honest, he's been cast out by the very system he's still trying to earn approval from. He's the sacred clown archetype, the fool who fumbles, but in doing so reveals the truth. And it makes perfect sense that he latches onto Mulan, not because she fits the mold, but because she doesn't. Because she, like him, is trying to prove that non-conformity doesn't equal failure. And then we got Cri-Kee, completely silent, tiny, underestimated, but somehow always right. He represents the inner energy, the intuition, intuition, the instinct, the voice that doesn't speak in words but in signs and feelings and subtle nudges. He doesn't strategize, he doesn't plan, he just knows. He's the one who gets Mulan through the chaos, not by force, but by staying attuned. Where Mushu is loud, Cri-Kee is aligned. And if we look at them just at the start of the film, they are a disaster together. Mushu drags Cri-Kee into this wild, reckless plan, lets him work for him. Cri-Kee mostly looks terrified and taken advantage of. They're opposites, okay? They clash. They don't trust each other that way. Exactly like how most of us treat our own dual energies. Let's be honest, how many of us suppresses our instincts because they're not practical? How many of us rush into action before asking ourselves why? We divide ourselves in the same way, split between what we feel and what we do, who we are and who we are supposed to perform as. But here's the beauty. Mushu and Cri-Kee evolve together, and not by becoming the same, but by learning to complement each other. Mushu starts listening more and learning silence from Cri-Kee, while Cri-Kee becomes more daring, learning from Mushu's chaos, and suddenly they're not in conflict, they're in collaboration. They go from being chaos and hesitation to becoming a strange little harmony where vulnerability is possible. One pushes, one grounds, one acts, one guides. They become a team, a union. And that's the metaphor. That's what integration looks like. You're not meant to live in one mode. You're not meant to be all logic or all intuition, all action or all stillness. You're not meant to be soft or strong. You're meant to be whole and imperfect. You're meant to let these forces work with each other instead of tearing you apart. I mean, Mulan doesn't succeed because she leans into one over the other. She succeeds because she becomes both. She feels deeply and thinks critically, she risks boldly and loves quietly. And her guides, Mushu and Cri-Kee, mirror that process. So if you've been taught that only one side of you is valid, that your softness is a liability, or your fire is too much, that your inner knowing is childish, or your ambition is cold, take a note from the dragon and the cricket, okay? So we've talked a lot about masculine and feminine energies and how they live inside of us, how they're not gendered but energetic, how they're meant to inform each other, challenge each other, complete each other, all within you. But here's where we go off track. We took that beautiful sacred inner balance and decided to split it between people.